Democratic leaders seem to say, let's put the brakes on the virtual nomination ahead of the DNC. Would you support that?
I would absolutely support that, right? I think that this is an opportunity. I mean, Democrats, we're a big tent party, right? And we always have disagreements. And so at the end of the day, I'm in the corner of our great president, Joe Biden. Until he makes a decision that he's no longer running, he has my support.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, a delegate to the DNC in Chicago, on the party moving forward with a virtual roll call ahead of the convention in August.
All this amidst these growing calls this weekend from top Democrats for Biden to step aside.
ABC News first reporting Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries delivering that message to Biden personally. Now reports of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and former President Barack Obama echoing the same. Democratic Party of Wisconsin Chairman Ben Wickler with us at the convention.
Are you concerned, though, that top Democratic leaders are telling him he needs to go?
We're in a moment of enormous anxiety, and fundamentally, that anxiety is about making sure we defeat Donald Trump. And the conversations about the Democratic ticket all reflect a shared determination to make absolutely sure that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't get back into the White House. So there's disagreements and all kinds of feelings about the best path there. What I've seen with my own eyes, talking to undecided voters, is that they know that President Biden's not a spring chicken. They also know for sure that he will defend their freedom.
Let's bring in the Biden campaign national spokesperson, Kevin Munoz. Kevin, thanks so much for your time. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get right to it. This weekend, is President Biden preparing to drop out of the race?
President Biden is in this race. He is the Democratic nominee, and he is going to beat Donald Trump this November. This is the guy that has beat Donald Trump before. This is the guy that's going to beat Donald Trump again. He's going to do it by campaigning in states like Wisconsin. He's going to do it by creating a campaign focused on the issues that matter to voters. And he is going to make sure every single day that Wisconsinites understand who is fighting for them and who is fighting for himself, and that's Donald Trump.
Is he listening to the growing number of Democrats who are urging him to get out of the race?
He listens to everybody, but what he listens to most is what he hears when he is on the ground talking to the voters that have the most at stake in this election. So when he's in Milwaukee, he wants to hear from people that have their health care on the line. He wants to hear about how he can make communities safer from gun violence, because the voters that have the most at stake at this election, they are with President Biden. They aren't going to take a chance on a hypothetical. They care about solutions, and that is what Joe Biden is offering, and Donald Trump is an immense threat to those issues.
How is the campaign preparing this weekend for the potential he could drop out?
He isn't dropping out, so that's kind of not a question. But what I can say is thousands of events on behalf of this campaign are happening this weekend. They're going to be focused on abortion rights. They're going to be focused on creating economic opportunity. They're going to be focused on housing costs, because those are the issues that matter to our voters.
Congressman Mark Pocan was the first Democrat here in Wisconsin to join others Friday in calling for him to drop out, saying we must face the reality that widespread public concern about your age and fitness are jeopardizing what should be a winning campaign. What do you say to these lawmakers?
Well, look, the president has immense respect for the congressman. At the same time, he's been immensely clear to elected officials. He's been immensely clear to the voters. He is staying in this race, and he is going to win. What we can say from this campaign is every single day that we entertain anything other than Joe Biden being the nominee is a day wasted not talking about what we saw on the convention stage in Milwaukee, attacks on women's rights, the architect of family separation being put on primetime television by Donald Trump. That's not how you win elections. Focusing on the choice is how you win.
Vice President Harris met with donors on Friday afternoon. What did she tell them?
I was just on the call, and what I can tell you is that Vice President Harris delivered a clear message. We have to focus on cementing the choice and uniting as the Biden-Harris coalition to beat Donald Trump. That is how you win.
Did she tell donors that President Biden will remain on the top of the ticket?
She did, because that's what is happening. She's proud to run alongside President Biden, and together they are going to beat the Trump-Vance ticket that poses an immense threat to the working people of Wisconsin.
What should we prepare for in terms of her stop to Milwaukee, her campaign stop on Tuesday here in Wisconsin?
Look, I don't want to get ahead of any details, but what I can say is that the vice president is excited to go to Wisconsin. The president and the vice president understand the power of showing up in the state, not just in Milwaukee, but in all of the areas of the state that matter to win.
At the Democratic convention in Chicago, any scenario there's an open convention?
No, because Joe Biden is our nominee.
Kevin Munoz, national campaign spokesperson for the Biden campaign. Kevin, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, up next, fallout from last weekend's assassination attempt and the convention here in Milwaukee. Rachel Scott, ABC News senior congressional correspondent, is with us next.